the realm of livestock, there exists a breed of cattle that defies limitations and embraces versatility. Introducing the Boran. A breed known for its remarkable traits that have captivated farmers worldwide. These non-selective grazers possess a unique rumen and metabolism, allowing them to thrive on even the poorest quality forage. Adaptable by nature, Boran cattle retain their condition and productivity across diverse landscapes, from rolling hills to rugged terrains. Their incredible herd instinct makes them a breeze to manage, even in wooded environments where their natural tendencies come to life. And when it comes to feeding, the Boran proves its flexibility once again. They can be successfully fed off the pasture, optimizing resources and productivity. But it's not just their adaptability that sets the Boran apart. Their carcass quality is unparalleled, boasting a high dressing percentage and meat tenderness. With a gentle temperament and remarkable longevity, the Boran is a breed that brings tranquility to any farm. Easily manageable, these magnificent creatures gracefully traverse long distances and conquer rocky terrains. Their extraordinary crossbreeding abilities and outstanding hybrid vigor further enhance their value, creating robust offspring with the best traits. In the world of livestock, the Boran breed stands tall as an ideal choice.
The presentation is why Boran. We've got so many breeds to choose from, and I think for myself and one of the reasons why we farm with Boran, it's one of the only breeds that you'll find from Sudan down to the Southern Cape in every country, and there's a reason for that. And adaptability is probably the biggest reason why you'll find these animals all the way down. Very adaptable, and that is... Let's go. They don't give 2 calves every year, not all of them, just some. I think the one thing that we must put straight, the record straight right at the start, if there's no passion, if there's no happiness in cattle breeding, it doesn't matter what breed you use. You probably won't make a success of it. But if there's a passion and you like what you're doing, then it won't be that difficult. I think there's a lot in that slide that we must take at heart. There's always a lot of controversy about breeds, about feedlots, about production systems. Make sure you look at the other side of the story as well, and then you might just get a different view. Let's start with the feedlots, because that's one of the main main issues in South Africa and the indigenous breeds and the Boran. And this is from the Feedlot Association's own publication. Which cattle do SA feedlots prefer? Preferably a male weaner between 8 and 10 months, something that will grow to 450 to 470 kilograms, and as an A class. And there, the last bit is one of the issues for us and for them as well, probably on the other side. After at least 120-day feeding period, I must say this list of requirements is increasing every year. This year, for instance, they've changed the maximum kilograms to 250, some are at 220 and not at 270 anymore. They don't want calves that's been background, they don't want calves that are too fat, and obviously the industry is under pressure like the farmers as well, but the requirements are becoming more and more. For we as farmers, we must answer one question, and we can't steer away from that. It's okay to produce something that suits the feedlots in this chain, as long as you make sure you make profit out of that. And I want to touch on that. We do make a lot of effort at the Boran Society using Intellect, a benchmarking company, comparing ourselves to a lot of other breeds in various areas in South Africa to make sure that we know whether our breeders are profitable at farm level. Because it doesn't matter what the next customer wants and what it's willing to pay. If you don't make a profit, you must rethink your production system and whether you want to stay in that value chain longer or not. This is just, in South Africa's case, you'll see there that is from 2009 to 2022. South Africa, in terms of numbers, they're right at the bottom in 2009, about 20th in the world, and currently we're nowhere on that chart in terms of numbers. And that's one of the controversies about the feedlot system and moving calves from your farm. The logic behind it is we move these calves at 7 months from the farm, sell them to a feedlot, so we've got more space, more opportunity to keep breeding cattle. And remember, the system started in the 70s in South Africa, and in the 70s we had about 12 million, our herd was about 12 million head of cattle in South Africa, and in 2022 we still at about 12 million head of cattle. I'll show you now, that was 13 million there in 2009. There's a chart by our Department of Agriculture. The top line, the blue line, is our herd numbers. That's 12.2 million, and the brown line is the number of animals slaughtered. So it's obvious that the number of animals in our country didn't increase over time, notwithstanding the fact that we're moving all these cattle in that direction. A slide that's probably applicable to every one of you and applicable to the South African farmers without doubt, and that's the input cost versus the prices. 2017 we received a bit more for winners than we're getting currently, and when you look at the cost structures, that has changed dramatically. So I assume like any red meat producer in Southern Africa, the farmers are really under a lot of pressure. And those products there on the left, phosphate, urea, diesel, wages, interest, that's all the integral part of everyone's system and production system. So we end up with almost 100% increase in cost with almost no increase in price. The one interesting part that's not part of this slide is in that same period, the meat price, the same period, the meat prices in supermarkets increased by between 22 and 50%, while we're still getting the same price for weaners. And I think that it's important to keep that in mind, that it's not that the entire system hasn't increased by them. So let's just keep in mind that I know the market, there's a lot of reasons, and the economics and available money and all of that is true, and red meat is a luxury product in many households, and we've got competition from the chicken industry, but it's just, well, this is not sustainable. As farmers, we know this is not sustainable. Let's talk about sustainability. I just want to touch on a few points there. A well-balanced and healthy ecology on a farm should never be sacrificed in order to increase profits. I think that is just a common sense approach. If you're in it for the long haul, if you want to be a cattle farmer and you want your children to be cattle farmers on your farm, you can never sacrifice a well-balanced and healthy ecology. Short-term profits will most probably lead to long-term dues, and vice versa. The same story. And the problem there is, as soon as we're under pressure, under financial pressure, we make short-term decisions, but they'll always have a long-term effect. So you'll pay the price somewhere along the line in future. It's the same if we buy genetics that is not well adapted. We might pay less, we might buy in animals at a certain price and think they're fine and they're not going to do well on our farms. That is always going to be the case. Production per hectare can easily be increased by additional inputs and by plundering the land. Production per hectare is one of the norms that we'll see in our study group figures later. It's used often, but with a lot of figures, we're able to manipulate it. And just be careful to keep that long-term, well-balanced system in mind. You can adapt your cattle to the environment, or you can adapt the environment to your cattle. It's a trap that I think we fall into a lot of times. If you just look at figures, production figures, there's a lot of things that's said about a lot of cattle. You might think that, well, I'll farm with these, and if things get tough, I'll just go to the local feed store, of which there are a lot, and it is one of the biggest expenses in the South African agricultural sector, and I'll just put it right using feed, changing the environment. There's no way that you will be sustainable in that approach. That is only a short-term solution to long-term problems. So to farm with sustainable animals and be able to cross that bridge is by far the better approach and the sustainable approach. And then the last sentence there, I think that we must keep in mind: maximum profit will be achieved before you reach maximum production. And isn't that a typical thing? The bragging rights to produce the heaviest weaner calf at the sales lot, to brag about the most expensive animal that you bought or sold. So you must keep in mind, we must have our hand on profitability, and where's the optimum profitability before we worried about the maximum production. Because when you get to maximum production, you've passed the point of maximum profit a long way. So, and the only way is to know exactly what your cost structure is, and in this case, to farm with low cost, to keep your, make sure you've got a low cost system. I'm not going to bore you with all those figures. I just want to highlight some. This is a big study group with about 100 farmers and more than 100,000 cattle, or about 100,000 cattle all over the country. Natal, we as a society in South Africa, we actually sponsor our members if they want to be part of this. And it's not to show that we've got the best animal or the most cost-effective animal. Is to make sure that our members and farmers remain profitable if they're outside the stud market, or if the stud market doesn't keep at these prices. They must still be profitable cattle farmers. And that's why we're involved in this, but it really opens your eyes. I must say, I just took out there 3 100 to 1,000 millimeter rainfall, we call it semi-intensive. That's if you've got any stubble or if you produce any feed, you'll be regarded as semi-intensive. 500 to 1,000 mil extensive, so no stubble, and then farms with less than 500 millimeters of rain. That is not all the grouping, so don't try to do the calculation and get to the study group average. You won't be able to do that, and obviously there's different numbers of people involved. The scary part about this is per large stock unit, the first slide, and large stock unit is calculated as a 450 kilogram unit. So you'll take the cows, if you've got a 600 kilogram cow, it will be 1.3 large stock units. 450 cows, 1 large stock unit. If you've got 2 weaners, that's 225, that'll be 1 large stock unit if you combine them. So that's the way they calculate it. And the scary part is right in the right-hand corner, their profit to net farm, that's the profitability of the study group, shows only 342 Rand per unit, per large stock unit. And if you look at an investment of land and cattle of 60, 70, 80,000 per large stock unit, then obviously that is a very, very low return. But what is comforting looking at that, the top 10%, they do 4 times better than the average. So that's 1,315 Rand per large stock unit, right in the corner on the right hand side. I think what is encouraging for me, we're only about 10% Boran breeders in that study group, and that includes people that are 100% commercial farmers. So even if though there are only 10% in the study group, 3 out of the top 10 are Boran, most profitable guys, commercial Boran breeders. And if you go and analyze their figures, their individual farm figures, it's because they are cost effective. So, and the very interesting part about this figures this year, remember South Africa is the same position as you guys. We had a drought in most of the areas. The large stock, the frame size or weight of the productive animals, the cows, the most profitable guys, the cows are at about 450 kilos, 448 and 430. And the guys that are over 550, they've made huge losses. So there's a clear, what they call profit indicators. And one of the, in this year, all over, and that, remember, that's all over the country. That includes even Natal, where a lot of farmers involved in this. Heavier than 550, then the cow efficiencies came down to 35, 37%. Those guys didn't make any profit this year. It is scary if a guy has got 3,000 cows and he makes a net profit on a net loss on every animal. You'll think the scale of economy will help him, but it's not the case. So keep in mind, just interesting, stocking rate, I'll touch on it later. Stocking rate and is very important. The guys who are doing well, their stocking rate is less than 2 hectares per large stock unit, and that's any place in the country. And the guys, even in extensive, that less than 500 millimeters of rain, it's also interesting. The guys who's still doing very well, they're also at about just over 2 hectares per large stock unit. The guy who's at 20 hectares per large stock unit, he's also making a loss. So it is just interesting. Obviously, every farm will have its own challenges, and we can never say if we do this, but it's a very interesting study all over the country with the same results. There's one more thing that has come out this year that is really interesting. If you look at production per hectare, one thing that we mentioned that can be manipulated, production per hectare per 100 millimeters of rain. And there you get some kind of equalizer. And you say, well, there's not that big difference. If you get 200 millimeters, if you get 500 millimeters, the one guy will produce 8 and the other one 9 per hectare, but the better producers will do 15 kilograms per hectare, even in that environment. So when you measure it against the rainfall. The next slide is very much the same, it's just per hectare. And there, the average of the study group, 225 rands per hectare. And I can promise you in our area, we can testify. That's one of the reasons why a lot of guys are planting maize again on fields that have been put to grass 20 years ago. Because at 225 rands per hectare, there's so little in it for the guy. But the same year, the best guys are doing 1,700, 1,600 rands. So the same story. And you go back to in their cases, smaller frame, low input production. And that's how they get to that. The other thing that I can say in our own case that's applicable, 2 years ago when we got to the point where we received 28 rands for weaners, and that was the market-related price. It's not because they discriminate against Borans, that we have feedlots in our area that will buy your calves and pay you the market-related price. But at 28 rands, we said to one another, we can't carry on like this. We can't keep cattle and sell weaners at 28 rands. There's nothing in it for us. So we moved to a system where we grow long weaners for the next 15 months after that wean. So when they're 2 years old, we put them in a feedlot for 60 days and we finish them and we sell them. And that makes very interesting reading, because now you stay in that value chain for a lot longer. And a lot of people say, yeah, but they can't do it. Just take this calculation, keep it in mind. So if you've got for us in the Highveld, if you produce a 200 kilogram calf, that's on par with most of the breeds in our area. Between 200 and 220, that's just an environmental limit, because we've got long winters with low value feeding. So if you take a 200 kilogram calf, but only 80% of your cows wean a calf, and I can promise you 80% is high. You can look at that study group figures, 80% of cows weaning a calf is very high. Then suddenly, the average production on your farm is only 160 kilograms per cow. If you take your bulls and your heifers, your replacement heifers into account, suddenly you end up at about 142 kilograms per cow, effective production. Those long weaners, and the year that we keep them, they grow another 180. So they outperform every cow on the farm, on average. If you take just a cow-calf herd, they outperform that cow-calf herd. So I still think the balance is, how many of those long weaners can I keep with the maximum number of productive cows on my farm and stay in the system? There are a few advantages that the Boran gives you that I think you'll go a long way to find in other breeds. The first one is they only cut their teeth at about 26, 27 months. So you've got 2-3 months extra to get in as an A grade. And if you take them to the feedlot at 24 months, 2 years of age, you finish them in that December, it's 26 months of age, and they're all A grade. They grow exactly, you remember that first slide of the feedlot, between 450 and 470. We've put in a group of calves now at 380. Going into the feedlot at 380, 2 years old. So we've got 60 days, we'll put on another between 100 and 120 kilograms. They will live weight between 450 and 500. It's spot on what our market requires. And when you sell those, no one asks you, is this breed or that breed? They ask you, what is the grading? And that's one of the interesting parts. We had a slaughter competition at Potchefstroom last week. And the number 1 carcass, Boran. Number 4 carcass, Boran. And that's all the breeds represented in that study group where they did that slaughter competition. So it's nothing, we had the same at Tukkies, at their veterinary, they also did tests like that, where they give people 10 cattle of a specific group. There's a very good spread of the fat all over the body, they make a good grading, no issue. You must just understand, you must take it to the feedlot at a bigger frame, and then you've got a short period to finish it off. I can promise 60 days will be the maximum. We'll probably get some of them out at 50, 45, 50 days. So for us, that system works, and for a lot of the South African farmers that are doing really well in the study group, one of the best performing guys here, he does exactly that. He weans his calves, takes it through the system to about 500 kilos. He's one of the most profitable guys out of that almost 100 cattle farmers. So everyone has got his limitations. I know we've got better access to feed. It's different. But then again, we must slaughter them at 26, 27 months, and I think you guys have got a bit more leeway in keeping them a bit longer. In our case, it still leaves you with the opportunity, if things get tough, you can sell those calves even before you finish them. You've got that opportunity, and you don't need to get rid of your productive herd. So that's just a personal experience, and in this study group, it reflects that the same year per hectare, you can just see the 225 average study group for the study group, but 1,564 rands per hectare, top 10%. And my father-in-law used to say to me, you must just make sure you're in the top 50% or top 30% when you're farming. You can't just farm and think you'll keep on farming, because, and we must keep that in mind. This is just a very clear indication to me that it's possible, and it's encouraging to see people are doing well within all the limitations of red meat production at the moment. And this is just what I mentioned here. Growing and capitalizing on as much of the value chain as you can manage will gradually protect you against market fluctuations, ensuring long-term stability and success for your operation. The problem that we've got, on a Monday morning, the weaner price is published, and then that's the price. It's such short-term notice. It changes in a month from 38 to 32 to less than 30, 2 months later, 3 months later. For you to react to that is almost impossible if you haven't got a flexible system where you've got alternatives. I'm just quickly going to touch on what we see in South Africa. I think it will be probably not the case maybe up here north at Grootfontein and those guys. When we look at cover crops and the way we do it, a lot of people are moaning about what's happening in the red meat industry, but we must be in that queue where we look at alternatives. All the long weaners, we graze them with electric fence. On the worst, this is next to the main dirt road on our farm, so just the road reserve. It's for free with a small cams electric fence, and it's really very little effort. Once you're in the system and the animals are adapted to the system, it's an easy way for us. And then the buzzword in our area is cover crops, and so good for the soil, and that's the way to build the carbons. But the reality is there's no way that you can grow cover crops at a profit or making additional profits in your maize industry to cover that cost. The only way to do cover crops, recover the cost, and improve the fertility and the soil health on your farm is to use cattle. So if you don't utilize those cover crops with cattle, you'll never be able to make it worthwhile. But on the other hand, it is without doubt one of the things for the future. That's the way we will be able to justify tillage, and you know how much pressure there is from the greenies about all the methane emissions and all that. I mean, that is a bullshit story on its own, but that is reality. So we must show in our area, we must get away with less fertilizers, less chemicals, and the only way is to incorporate cattle and in a cover crop system. And with this system, growing out your own weaners, it's really profitable. But to try to grow a cover crop just to benefit your soils for your maize crop, unfortunately, not sustainable. I'm just quickly going to touch on selection criteria. I'm not going to waste you guys your time. You're cattle farmers. this is just our own approach, and then I think for me it's worked for 28 years, so maybe there are a few things that we can look at. For us, the ideal cow weight, as we touched on, 420 to 480, and it shows in that study group all over the country on the high veld, it appears to be the ideal weight. Selections for trait like birth weight, milk and weaning weight is single trait selection, and I think as soon as you start selecting for a single trait, you'll pay the price on the other side. You get something because you give something. You don't get more just because you select for this trait. I'll touch on that and just looking at the breeding values. Selection for reproduction and maintenance includes all these crucial traits. And if we look at the cow value that we use in the South African system, you'll see why we've put this in. The ability to maintain good body condition is not negotiable. That to me is the biggest disappointment. Here we've got the opportunity with a well-adapted African bred breed like the Boran, and their biggest advantage is their ability to keep their condition or to gain their condition very quickly again. And that is the same trait that the feedlots have got an issue with. And I understand that. If you put a 7-month, 8-month calf in a feedlot in a high energy ration, they will probably get too fat before they've get to the right weight. But if you grow the frame and you put them in the feedlot, that is suddenly a huge attribute. But for me as a farmer, the ability for females to keep their condition or to regain their condition very quickly after difficult conditions, that's first prize. That's very bad news for Philip and the other guys, but I think for you, for the supplements, probably fine, but the feeding companies, it's bad news. And that's reality for us. We really, the cattle keep, you guys that are Boran farmers will know that and will testify to that. If you select the right kind of animal, they will adapt, and that's well adapted to your environment. They will regain their conditions so quickly after that, and they'll only lose condition at a very late stage of winter in our case. So then there's in my view, there's not something like something is too feminine or too masculine. I think it's something that we've got to emphasize that, because that makes selection easy. Hormonal balance. A bull must look like a bull and a cow like a cow, and they can't be. And I think that is something that we really are not emphasizing enough. So it is not the butch cow that breeds the bulls. It is not. The feminine cow, she breeds the bulls. And there's a masculine bull that breeds the feminine cows. You that are cattle farmers, you know that's the case. And very often we'll get this big butch cow. She'll breed the bulls. Look at this cow. She's a bull breeder. She's not the bull breeder. Never been and will never be. Okay, and then production per animal is irrelevant. Only sustainable production per hectare is important. Let's think about this. I know in the old Zimbabwe or Rhodesia, there's a guy who every year he got the award for the best breeder. And what he did is every year he just reduced his numbers a bit on his farm so that the individual animals perform better. So it will always be the case. If my stocking rate is not high enough, my individual animals will perform very well. If my stocking rate, there's an optimal point, if my stocking rate is too high, my animals will they won't produce well. So we must get that optimum point where I've got the maximum stocking rate where I can produce the most without detrimental effects to my farm. And there, every farmer knows his farm. It's not a ratio that I can say to Chris, you must be at 14 hectares to a cow, you must be at 12. You must know your farm, and it's for you to find that out. But I can promise you, if individual performances are important to you, then you'll never get to the optimum stocking rate, because it will be detrimental to individual performances, but it won't be detrimental to maximum profits. And then I don't know how relevant it is in in the Namibian setup. In South Africa, it's very relevant for parasite resistance of boron cattle. You know, in our area, we're just about 2 kilometers, 10 kilometers from the watershed. So on the one side, there's a lot of hard water, and on our side, not. When there were still trains, where we used to say the train kills the ticks before they can cross the railway. But I sold a bull to a guy in Ellis Ross last year, and I phoned him and asked him, so this is now a very tick-infested area, so how many times do you have to dip that bull? And he said to me, never, not once. And in our case, we don't use dip. And in some cases, dip is necessary, and it enables people to farm an area that they won't be able to farm otherwise. But I can promise you, if you use chemicals, if you use a systemic chemical, there's no way it can't be detrimental to the environment. They can tell you whatever they want. It might just kill 25 or 30 or 50% of the dung beetles, and not all the species, but it will kill some. It might be not detrimental for human consumption, but if you've got a systematic dip or parasite control that you inject an animal with, it's part of his system. That's why it kills certain ticks. So, and then just from an economic point of view, even though dip is cheap, labor is not cheap, and time is not cheap. To handle those cattle often, I think it makes a huge difference. And our personal case, we've tried some European breeds for crossbreeding in our commercial herd, and that was one of the main reasons. Every April, May, then you start struggling with condition score, you start struggling with parasites. There's only 5 or 6 or 10 bulls you need to dip throughout the year. For us, we just moved away from that. And the boron is by far better. And there again, I've got this contradiction. So if I look at the dressing percentage, take the skin off, there's the skin and the 5th quarter, and now my dressing percentage is 1% lower than the other breeds. But the fact that the skin is so much thicker and weighs more, that's, for me on the farm, that's beneficial. I want that. It gives me an advantage. How can you discriminate against the breed because they've got a thick skin and they're tick resistant? It's an attribute that you want. So let's just quickly touch on these points. Yeah, just to come back while we're there are many ways to prove something scientifically. There are many ways to prove that there's global warming. I've got this example. Surely, if we look at that slide, there must be global warming. That was necessary in 1819, and we need this bikini in 2010. So you can justify anything on a farm. Let's just touch on the breeding values. The slide indicates the way we calculate our cow value in South Africa, and that is exactly what it is. Every specific trait is just part of the total. Don't try to take out one thing and change one thing. And I think we're one of few breeds that bring in longevity as one of the economic factors, and we put a lot of emphasis on that. If you've got replacement heifers that you need to keep because you need to replace your cows at age 8, 9 or 10 years, and you've got replacement heifers because you only replace at 12 years, 11, 12 years, that's a huge difference in unproductive stock on your farm. So you can keep far less heifers because these cows get so much older. But that's the balance that we've come to. Fertility, maintenance, weaning weight, longevity, birth weight, and I say just stick to the total package, and don't try to increase growth dramatically, because the next slide will show you why not. There are two different cows, just a summary. So in the first case, you'll get a 78 index on calving ease, but great, you get 127 on calf growth. So now the question is, if that calf is not born alive, what does it matter at what rate he would have grown? If you don't have an appropriate calf, and then the other thing is, remember, birth weight, growth, final weight, all linked. There's no way that you can get away from that and say you want to select for these very good at 120 index on growth, and you won't pay a price at the beginning or at the end. Your maintenance will either be high or you'll struggle with big calves right at the start. And the contrary is also true on the other side. If you only select for calving ease, then your growth will be negative or detrimental. So that's why it's always important to keep looking at the balance and the package of what you have and not trying to change a single trait. This photo was taken in Kenya in the 60s. Look at the condition of the cattle. Why do we want to steer away from good body condition? In our case, if we, I think, that's one of Johan Erasmus's examples. He always says, a cow is like a balloon. So if you want to get it higher, bigger, you'll get it flatter. You press like this, then you'll get a bigger thing. If you want to get it thicker and wider, you must do this. And I think that's something that is, if I've read the article about the Simbras in Namibia and the fact that they want to get them a bit smaller. I know the Charolais in South Africa, they've used that shoulder height for a long time as one of the selection criteria. So I think in that economics of cattle breeding and the 450 large stock unit cattle, it's the same story. About the masculinity and femininity, let me just show you these two slides. Full brother, full sister. Look at the difference. That cow is as feminine as you get them, and that's a full brother, as masculine as you get them. So I think we must be very careful not to move away from that in order to try to breed that. That will breed the bull, the masculinity and those traits. So we've touched on that. There's the same story. There's a bull and the masculinity on that bull. There's his Kenya dam and the femininity on the dam. I think it's something that we all experience on our farms. If we're honest about it, we must just emphasize that and not steer away from that feminine cow because she's not that impressive. She won't be. She doesn't need to be. She must breed meat. She mustn't carry. We don't need cows to carry meat. They must breed the meat. So this is also a typical example in Kenya. Look at that bull, the masculinity on that bull, and look at the cow and the femininity on the cow. It's just something that we need to remind one another of every time that we work with the cattle. This is just an example of the ticks. This is a European breed bull, and look at that. We think on our farm we don't really need to worry about blue ticks at all. It's not an issue. But suddenly when you introduce a different breed, not the same tick resistance, you realize, but there are a lot of, this is the same bull in the same camp exactly the same day, also without dip. So there's another one, no blue ticks. So it's not a story made up by Boran breeders, it's a fact, and it makes it easy to deal with that. Let's quickly look at profit drivers. I'm almost there. I think this is by Michael Bradfield there in the middle. Stocking rate is 8 times more important than animal fertility, which is 4 times more important than animal growth rate, which is twice as important as carcass size. Stocking rate is your big profit driver. You must know your farm. You must know the potential of your farm, and you must manage your risks within that potential. I think obviously every area will differ in their approach, but that rule will stay the same. Whether your stocking rate is 15 hectares on a large stock unit and whether ours is 1.5 or 1.7 or 2, it will be the same rule. You must just make it applicable on your farm. Let's conclude. The faster an individual gains weight, the more efficient. At the same gain, the smaller individual is more efficient. In order to be equally efficient, individuals of varying size have to grow in proportion to their size. But animals do not eat in proportion to their size. And I think that is one of the frustrations if you talk to people about average daily gain. Average daily gain from what basis? If I've got a 200 kilogram calf or 200 kilogram weaner and I've got a 300 kilogram, obviously the average daily gain on that 300 one will be bigger. But two 200 kilogram calves versus a 400 kilogram, the two 200s average daily gain 9 out of 10 times be better than the 400. So just keep that in mind. It's something that I think that is quite confusing a lot of times if you only look at absolute values and compare that to one another without looking at the basis. Just a few photos to end off with. I think the Boran, we are really privileged after, a lot of breeds been in the southern parts of Africa and South Africa and from Europe and all over. And I think we're privileged to have a breed from Africa introduced to us in the 90s and early 2000s. So we've got to take all the lessons that we learned from the other breeds and the way that we try to select the better animals. And I always say to Christopher, if we're down this road and someone is coming back and he say, no, he has been at the point where he's got to turn back, something's going wrong, why do we need to go and find out what that point is? Learn from them. Learn from the other breeds. Where has it gone wrong? What have they done right? We still got the time, we have got the luxury not to learn all the lessons again. We can learn from a lot of the other breeds. I think these are in Kenya, and that was one year when I was there and I saw the conditions, and everybody thinks it's subtropical. It is not subtropical where they farm them. It reminds me a lot of what you guys have got to deal with in some instances. It is the breed of choice there. This is in Zambia. Also, people that are farming with Borans, they are very successful in low-cost systems and productive animals. I think it's the one breed out of Africa for Africa. We've got certain specific traits, and apart from everything, it's such a beautiful animal. And that's one of the joys of farming, to go to your animals, go to see your crops, because that gives us joy. That's what we're working for. So we've got this opportunity. I thank you guys for your time, and good luck for your season. I hope you get enough rain, but also early enough that it makes a huge difference. And with, I think a place like Namibia, and with all the challenges, makes it such an ideal place for Boran cattle to thrive and to take you forward. Good luck. Thank you.
Baie dankie François. Wil gou verskoning vra, ek hoor ek het alweer aangejaag. Christopher moes eintlik eers gepraat het en dan jy. Maar ja, jy het dit daarom gemaak. Baie dankie. Ja, ek ons wag vir jou. Ja, is iemand wat nog vrae het?
Ek kan net in Afrikaans antwoord.
Hy is nou nie voorberei nie so. Any questions? François, you're not dismissed yet, please. Baie dankie. Yes, sir.
So the cow value when you give you is the overall average combination And what is the acceptable, and I know I'm speaking universally, but what would be like the acceptable value? Do you want it to be more below 100 or more above 100?
I always.
I think when you look at cow values, for me, the most important part is of all those specific traits. You don't want something way down there or way up there.
Advisor with the SA Boran Breeder Society. Is that correct? Okay. And yeah, welcome. And the mic is yours.
Thank you, Heiko. Thank you, the President of the Boran Society in Namibia, President, and all your breeders for asking me to come and present something in English. It's a challenge, but I will try my best. Yeah, over the years we've become really good friends, and it's always good to be here with you guys. And we're all in one bucket, and we all do the same thing. We breeding cattle, and yeah, it's always it's for me always a privilege to be here with you guys in Namibia. And I hope that today that you will find something interesting that we're going to share, and I'm going to touch on the history. Maybe for me it's quite difficult. I've been part of the Boran journey for 20 years, so it's really for me a privilege to be standing here and to be part of this. I think from the first meeting we had in the Eastern Free State, I was there, my father was there, and Francois was there, and Jaras. And over the years, it's amazing where we stand today as a breed, and I think we can be very proud on the movement and even the quality that we put out over the last 20 years. Maybe not changing, definitely not changing the breed, but just make them better. So what I'm going to do, we're going to do a short video just to show you over 20 years what happened. There's some pictures of our friends went up to Kenya, and then I'm going to read some history written by Francois, because he knows all the much more than I do about the history in the past. I'm going to try to do my best and see if I can glide it with the slideshow as well that we have. But first, I think let's play the video. And this video gives me goosebumps to know where we come from and where we are standing together. And I want to just, before I start, our friend from Zimbabwe and from Botswana, it's always good to see you. I'm talking to all of you guys on phone every auction, and it's good to see you guys here as well. Right guys, let's start with the video.
Kan ons hom net gou na die tyd speel hê?
Ons laai net gou die video. My Engels is nou op.
Gaan met jou praatjie.
Okay, moet ek praat?
Ja,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, so I think, yeah, I think, okay.
Sorry.
What? Hoe gaan hy lank val?
Ek try my bes.
Okay, kom ons, let's wait.
Nie wag nie. Gaan aan met jou praatjie.
Okay, so what I think let's touch on what's happening in South Africa at the moment. Maybe this is a bit, yeah, but let's work on that and see if I can describe you what's going on and where are we going. At the moment we are running about 40 to 45,000 head of cattle in our breeder society, and we have about 280 to 290 breeders at the moment. That is really, if you look at the different breeds in South Africa, I think we're the fourth biggest society in South Africa. And we have a council of 6 council members, and we are really going strong, and we are really, for me, I can see that we are living our passion as the South African breeders. They can, if I look back in the 8 years that I'm involved with the breed, where we came from, and where we are now, it's a big difference in the quality of animals that is presented on different auctions over the years. And if I can think where we started 8 years back on auctions and where we are today, it's really, it's amazing to stand there. Just last weekend we had the Stockman's auction in Bloemfontein, and even in that area where it's also harsh conditions and it's difficult for that guys to breed really cattle that adapt very well, and they've done over the years, and if you can see the quality that came out on every auction, we are very strict on that. It was difficult, I can tell you it was very difficult in the beginning to put our feet down and to say now we must start, be very strict on auctions, on screenings, to bring out, we sell less for more money. That's what we started, and we built up, and now we are really there, and I can really invite you guys to come and join some of our auctions in South Africa, and just see the quality that comes through from all the breeders, from the smallest breeder to the biggest breeder. And we want to give them all the chance, even if there's a guy that has 5 or 10 animals that he is on his farm, he will have the opportunity to put two animals on our heifer auction and on our national auction. So we try to bring it to the table for the breeders to bring out the best. And yes, there is auctions that really going very high, and then there's a really in the middle of the road type of auctions that is affordable to any guy to come and buy the best genetics for the best price. So I know there's questions, why is some of the auctions so high? I can tell you it's one thing that's playing a big role in South Africa at the moment between the Boran breeders is marketing. Marketing plays enormous of a big role at the moment in our breed, because the competition is very strong. If you don't take good photos, if you don't do, you must really work hard and do your best to present your animal, to tell the story of your herd and of your brood. There's a story in everything. And we had a discussion this morning, and I always say, guys, if we want to do something, there's a story. You must tell your story for the world out there. Why is your herd the best? What are you doing that the breeder next to you don't do? You must put yourself out there you must bring something special out. The story of your herd and what it is all about. That's what the breeders are doing in South Africa. They tell a story, they bring out good photos. I'm hammering on them. I don't put a photo on a catalog that is on our national auctions that is not really good. We run through them. It's very important, and I'm touching it now, but it's very important to take good photos of your cattle. I know your area is very far apart, maybe difficult to get a good photographer, but if you can, do that extra mile, walk that extra mile, put a nice, because if I want to buy tomorrow something on auction on Swift here, and then I must just look at the photo, then it's the buyer's choice what he's going to buy. He's going to buy the best photo. That maybe it's not the best animal, but the photo tells a story. So it's very important. So yeah, I want to encourage you guys to work. I don't know, Swiftfair is your online house for tomorrow, but that plays a big role in auctions for today. In South Africa, good photos, good marketing. So that's something I just want to touch on. Video. Okay, so I think let's play the video, and then I'm going to start to go on the slideshow and give you a bit of a history about the breed, and then you can, let's see if it works through.
In the realm of livestock, there exists a breed of cattle that defies limitations and embraces versatility. Introducing the Boran. A breed known for its remarkable traits that have captivated farmers worldwide. These non-selective grazers possess a unique rumen and metabolism, allowing them to thrive on even the poorest crop. Adaptable by nature, Boran cattle retain their condition and productivity across diverse landscapes, from rolling hills, rugged terrains. Carrying leopard paint makes them breezed manic, living environments where their natural tendencies come to life. When it comes to feeding, the Boran improves ability. Successfully fed off the pasture, optimizing and productivity.
Sorry guys, yeah, so the video, I think the signal is not very good. So let's carry on. That video is, most of you maybe already seen it on Facebook, but if you want the video, I can send it to you guys, or put it on the group, then you can have a look at it. So yes, so let's start with the, I'm not going to take long, just running through the history that I pick up and been involved with some of these places. I think let's start with that one. Francois also showed that look at that cows that was there I think it was in the 60s. So it all started more than 55 years ago when Miles Fletcher had a dream of importing Boran cattle from Kenya to South Africa. Today we might flinch at the cost, but import of a flask of Boran embryos from Kenya sounds low. Back then entailed moving 50 head of cattle by train to Mombasa, by the ship to Boran, by the train to Umtali and to southern Rhodesia, and then by rail to Mozambique. This journey alone covered about 3,200 kilometers of rail and water. That I think it was quite a journey. There's Mount Fletcher around Nabe and Yuki. Mike's journey stopped at Monze. He couldn't get permission from veterinary service to move the Boran cattle by any further and decided to sell the bulls to various farmers and the heifer to the Zambezi Ranch Company. This was the start of a strong Northern Rhodesia Boran society. Okay, let's just see if I can. During 1994, Simon Hodson and Tim Rafe and Dave Green tried again with the help of Embryo Plus to import Boran genetics from Kenya to South Africa. This time they succeed and the first Boran calves are born during 1995 in South Africa. I think there is a photo. There's Dave Green and Francois, who's standing there? Is it Giles? Jackie from Ngudi in Kenya, where they was trying to get the animals out to flush them. This time they succeed, but the first Boran calves were born in 1995 in South Africa. Yes. Is that? Moet ook mense maar net so praat. Ek dink so.
Hoi, hierdie Engels is wel lekker. All right. Good guys. Okay, let's just check the next slide. All right. During 1994, Simon Hodson and Tim Ralph and Dave Green tried again with Embryo Plus to import Boran genetics from Kenya to South Africa. This time they succeed and the first Boran calves were born during 1995 in South Africa. There is one of the first calves being born. Most South African star breeders still have some progeny of these foundation genetics in the herd today. The herd brands was B, Z, and HVTs. I think you will all remember that and maybe still have some of that genetics in your herd. They will become known to most Boran star breeders over the past 20 years. Unfortunately, Dave Green was murdered on his farm, but Simon and Tim played a major role in establishing the Boran Cattle Breeders Society, and they have been part of the council for many years. I mean, I'm now 8 years in the society, and when I left breeding Boran stud animals, Simon Hodson was already on council, so he's been, I don't know how many years he was on council, but playing a very big role, and he's still playing a very big role in South Africa in the Boran cattle business. Dave Green was murdered on his farm, but Simon and Tim played a major role in establishing the Boran Cattle Breeders Society, and they have been part of the council for many years, like I said, and they can be regarded as the founding members of the Boran in South Africa. The next big step in the history was taken by Terry McClintock, guided by Johan van der Nest. Johan, where is he? He was just now here, I think. Johan van der Nest. Johan's knowledge of cattle and Terry capital investment, resourcefulness combined with the technical knowledge of Embryo Plus result in one of the biggest embryo ports from Kenya. So I think they, okay, yeah. The good genetics spread from different herds in Kenya, as well as first and only importation of live animal from Zambia, Zimbabwe, via Swaziland resulted in Keta Boranstad with well-known TLM brand. Bulls like Buffalo, Caesar, Napoleon, and TLM 0212, Forester 9675, and other bulls and herd matriarchs were bred by Keta. The two production sales and dispersal sales of Keta stud were probably the biggest growth stimulants in the breed has ever experienced on that time. So, if I'm correct, Francois, this was some of the first embryos that was been born in South Africa and were raised at there was Tim Rice farm in Natal. So you can see there some of the first born animals. The breed was established by the pioneers and time was right for a society to be formed in 17 May 2003 at Vicksburg. 22 people came together with the vision of establishing the Boran as a breed of choice in South Africa. 2 sentences out of these minutes of that meeting reflects the confidence and belief in the Boran breed in words. It is evident that the unique qualities of the Boran are causing much excitement. May the Boran story be the most phenomenal success story in the history of cattle breeding in South Africa. The tone was set for reaching a common goal, the establishment of the Boran as the mother cow of Africa. I think we all have that words, and we all say that this is the mother cow of Africa. And I experienced that in my time that I'm involved with this breed. Like I said, I mean, over 20 years I'm involved with this breed, and I can really say that is the mother cow of Africa, and we must be proud of that, and we must work on that. Sorry, Johan, you missed the part. Johan van der Nest, welcome here. He's one of the guys that, and you all know Johan van der Nest at Keta Boran, and Johan, your knowledge and your doable, what do you call it down in English? Involvement in getting the breed in South Africa. We really like to thank you for that. It's a big part that you play on that time. Thank you, Johan. Jacques Moll Sr. was elected as the president and worked with Tanileti Creer as the secretary. Maybe most of you, I don't know if you guys knew or know Tanileti Creer. She's still alive, and she is, I think, close to 90. And what a remarkable woman. And she was our first secretary in the Boran Society in South Africa. And what a magnificent woman. And she just played a big role in bringing the whole office together and get the whole thing started. The first ever breed stock sale under the auspices of the Boran Society was held by Dave Green from Escort in 2003. At last, there was purebred Kenyan genetics for sale. Although expensive, the sale gave a number of new breeders the opportunity to get started. Energy and patience conquer all things. So I'm just going to see this. There was the embryo station that were the first, where the embryos was flushed in Kenya. You can see there's some of the cows and the bulls that were used. Some of you can, if you really want this info, I can WhatsApp it to you because I also have it on my WhatsApp. There's the Dave Green on your left. Francois, that was?
The first inspection was done by Kenyans.
Kenyans in South Africa.
Trained the inspectors in South Africa to take over. First they did the job.
Yeah. Okay, this is also inspection here. Here's from Van Oudtshoorn, Louis van Oudtshoorn. I think a lot of you guys know Louis van Oudtshoorn. Yes, and he's still going strong. This big guy standing here, and also play a very big role in the Boran cattle journey. That he's been flushing a lot of embryos, and yeah, he's done his part in the breed as well. Just gonna go through there. That was also, Francois, you can come in if you know these some of these slideshows. It was in Jackie. Yeah. There was the guys on the bucky, Dave Green in the middle there, in Kenya. They packing up there. It was quite a journey. I think that suitcases can tell a lot of stories. There's some cattle. There's Adrian Raul on the left side. Eddie Boom. What is the pretty boy's name? Lucas van Vieren on the right in Kenya, selecting some cows. They're all standing there. I don't know, Francois, you can, if you come in. There's Lucas van Vieren. The 3094 daai. That's 3094. Manguni 3094, 3094. Okay, I'm just going to go through that and I can go on. Look at that cows. They were so feminine and not big cows. When broekies. Dit moet nee, is dat hy. Dis mos Kasima, ja. Ja. Skets Frans hy maar so nou en dan inkom. Net wil as 'n bietjie deurvat. Hy dit uit. Okay. So ek gaan maar net aangaan hierso. The number of tours to Kenya took place by new breeders mainly with two objectives. To get to know the Boran breed and how they are found in Kenya, but also select embryos donor cows to flush with the help of Dr. Mornay de la Rey. Although the results have improved a lot since the first effort in 1994, it was still uphill battle with a lot of disappointment along the way. The friendship and the resulted of these disappointments along the way. The friendship and resulted from these week-long visit to Kenya made it all long drives, a terrible dirt roads with every kilometer quite a battle. I think most of you that's been in Kenya, it is really a battle to go from one farm to the other farm there. And I experienced with a small plane, a terrible experience there. Was also I can tell you it's not easy to travel in Kenya. But these breeders went up and they select the best genetics there, what they could find with all these terrible roads, and they became very good friends as well. The possibilities of new, well-adapted Indicus breeds from Africa result in extraordinary efforts by South African farmers supported by vet using embryo technology to overcome the disease challenges when animals are imported from African countries. The positive impact of these manifest in the first production sale of Terry McClintock Keetastad in 2004. The highest priced bulls sold for 60,000 rand each. The breed was well advertised and the momentum was created for the Boran to become a household name in the cattle industry. You can see there in 2004, what came out here, the advertising, the marketing of that sale. I remember I've still got some of that. That was very on it. So if you guys want to ask what must I do to maybe get better results or better prices at my auction, tell your story. Because in 2004, good pictures was taken. The marketing was already in place on that time. High prices create opportunities for new breeders as well as established breeders. The biggest challenge for new start breeders was not to spoil what they had, but desiring what they didn't have at that stage. The message from a former president of the Boran Society, Tim Rafe, remains very relevant. I am of the opinion that cattle of the future will have to be more pastoral than what they are at the moment. The adaptability of the Boran makes it the only breed that you will find from Somalia into the north down to the Southern Cape. Therefore, it is the undisputable mother cow of Africa. So that was already said on that time. Low-cost beef production in a high-cost beef production environment will ensure the increasing necessity to induce Boran genetics to any extensive cattle operation. The Boran Cattle Breeders Society of South Africa, like I said, is at the moment about 300, between 290 and 300 breeders, and we are growing. There's a big, every month there's some new members coming in, and I think at the last 2 years we're having more new breeders come in our society than guys going out, and that is very, very positive for us. What is the I say the key to success at the moment in South Africa, in our society, is unity. Where there is unity, there's always a winning team. Where there's no unity, it's not going to work. So there's a lot of you guys here, breeders, sitting here, even in Zim, even in Botswana. Guys, if you work together, it will always be. We will always have our own opinions, but when we stand together as a breed, then we stand together. I really ask you guys, as breeders, in Namibia, you have the opportunity, you have the animals out there, but you must stand in unity. You must have a goal in the same goal, and remember, it's about the breed and not yourself. So unity is, I think, Francois can also say, unity in our society, our council is amazing. I'm getting goosebumps when I speak about that. If I go on my group and I say, guys, now we stand together, I can assure you, it will happen. So unity is one thing that make a big difference in our breed society in South Africa at the moment. We have about 17 senior inspectors that is all over the country, and they are all involved with screening of animals, inspections. So I try to get my inspectors that they from the north down to the south, and it makes it worthwhile even if there's inspection in different areas. So we are lucky to have 17 senior inspections at the moment. The screening of auctions is very important. Like I said, we are very strict on that. At the moment, we have 36 auctions this year. And I think there's some of you guys on our group. And I tell you, it's at this time of the year, I wish it just can go down now, because it's a lot of auctions, but it's still going strong, and the energy is there. What is our marketing goal for 2025? I can tell you, and I think you must also touch on that, is to commercial farmers, the guys that farm with commercial animals. I think we have the mother cow of Africa. We have the cow. I think together, you guys and us and Zim and all over Africa, we must have the same goal, is to hit the commercial market with our cow, our females. They are strong, they can do the work out there, and this is our goal, to really go for the commercial guys and farmers in South Africa. We have a big marketing plan for the next 3 months that we're going to roll out, and I think you will also see it on Facebook, maybe on television as well. So this is where we are going to go for, because at the end of the day, we can be stud breeders and we can buy from each other, But if your commercial guy doesn't buy your bulls or doesn't buy your females, then it's worthless. We have about 4 to 5 introduction courses during the year, and I'm also try to get involved with the University of Pretoria and a lot of in the students that we work with. And then I don't know, maybe you've got one, but guys, if you have a Facebook page or an Instagram page, be active on that. Tell your story about your breed in Namibia. People must see, and people don't read anymore. They want to see a story. They want to see a video playing or get somebody to do it. I know it costs a bit of money, but invest in marketing. That's the key to success. If you look at Coca-Cola, they market every day. They never stop. So please don't stop marketing your cattle and show the people in Namibia what the mother cow of Africa looks like. So I think, I know there's a lot of questions around some of our auction prices and auctions. I must tap on that. But I can tell you, the quality of our animals speak 1,000 words on every auction. And the marketing around that auctions I think we are the leaders in marketing in the cattle breeders in South Africa. The Boran Society are definitely the leaders. And they started with it, and we're still running with it. So to give you my opinion about what's going on, it's all about marketing and very, very good quality animals. That's why we're getting good prices at the moment. We are very blessed. We have high auctions that going really, really high prices. And then we got our auctions that is really the guys that farm with just cattle, and they also get good prices. So that's more or less what's happening in South Africa and a bit where the animals come from. And I can assure you that I am very, very positive for the future of the breed. And we want, and Francois here, we want really to work together with you guys. From our side, we want to work with you. And we want to invite you guys to come to us. I think we have the same goal. Let's focus on what we have and make it better every day. And let's enjoy what we do, because we are very privileged to work with this type of animals. So enjoy every moment, every day, because this is really God's gift to cattlemen, our breed. Oh, thank you. Ek wil baie graag in Afrikaans wil doen.
Baie dankie, Christopher. Ek moet nou weer met die mic praat, maar die mic werk nie.
Praat net so.
Hallo, daar is hy. Dankie, Christopher. Waardeer dit baie.
Dis 'n challenge met die Engels. Wat ek kan sê.
Jy het alright gedoen.
Ek het eintlik vir hom Jaap gevra om my te kom vertolk. Sorry guys, but I'm gonna just give something in Afrikaans. Julle, dit is rarig. Ek vra die diepste van my hart en ek dink dit gaan julle, dit wat ek sien, ek is opgewonde dit wat ek hier buite sien. Julle moet rarig saam staan en jy moet rarig fokus. Dit gaan regtig oor die bees en nie oor jouself nie. En as iemand jou kritiek gee oor 'n bees, vat dit positief, want dit gaan op die einde van die dag opbouend wees. So vat dit asseblief so. Ek weet, dit is nie maklik nie. Yes, as ek moet vat, sorry, I'm talking Afrikaans now. Hy verstaan. Maar hy verstaan, wat ek vat, Bouws Bas, 8 jaar terug, en die woorde wat vir ons gesê is, jy bees afkeer. Ek het nog nie in my tyd sulke woorde gehoor. Dit was moeilik, maar ek sê vir julle, as ek terugkyk vandag, eers ek julle kry hoendervleis, dan was dit alles die moeite werd. So staan vas, en maak julle vyand, as het moet, bietjie klein en bou hom weer op, en fokus op kwaliteit en daai produk wat daar uitgaan is wat boekdele gaan praat. Nie nou nie oor 'n jaar of 2. Dan is die Boran. Dis nie pizzabees nie, dis die ras. So sit eers in die ras en dan jouself. Asseblief, vra julle mooi. En ons wil baie graag saamwerk en nader mekaar beweeg. Ek dink ons was in we word wat
Ek hou hom net so dat ek kan opvang.
I've been there in Zimbabwe 2-3 months ago. It was really amazing to see how that these guys are doing it there. I'm taking my hat off for you. So keep on doing what you do there because it's working. So ja, dis wel wat ek wil sê is, kom ons staan saam en dit gaan oor die ras en nie oor jouself nie. Dankie julle.
Baie dankie Christopher. Christopher het gesê ons moet nie ophou ons beeste bemark nie. Hier so buite staan net so oor die 30 bulle ready for your consideration tomorrow. Kyk na die goed, praat met die teelers. Praat met Christopher, François. Hulle is buitestanders, hulle kan julle ook help. These guys can help you with your decision. And for the guys out of Namibia, firstly, in Namibia, we do offer transport. If you buy a bull and you're from Gobabe site or Grootfontein site, we will take care of the transport to your nearest auction, Agra auction facilities. We will offload the bull there and you can take it from there to the farm then. We will have transport available from here to the different quarantine facilities. There are 3 or 4 options. If you're from outside of Namibia, come speak to us. We know what they are, what will be the most convenient for you. Come speak to us. We will take care of the transport to there. We will help you with the stuff, with the documentation. We have done it before. We know what to do. And we have I don't know, some of you won't know, Christopher mentioned the WhatsApp group. We have a Boran Namibia WhatsApp group. If you want to be on that group, just come to me, bring your number to me, then I can just add you onto that group. Yeah. We will break now. Say till 4 o'clock, 20 minutes.
Did you put on the Mashona breeders as well now on your group? Okay, we'll have
No comment. Thank you. We'll see you back at 4 o'clock, please.
Haiku. Wie praat volgende?
Ja, jou. Nee, agora tu lei. Quero ser, depois para comer o termo, nessa minha
Daar is meester Tona op die blok. Ja, hulle het ons nou die dag ekstra gekom, maak dit seker voor jy ry. Ja, ja.
to rugged terrains. Their incredible herd instinct makes them a breeze to manage, even in wooded environments where their natural tendencies come to life. And when it comes to feeding, the Boran proves its flexibility once again. They can be successfully fed off the pasture, optimizing resources and productivity. But it's not just their adaptability that sets the Boran apart. Their carcass quality is unparalleled, boasting a high dressing percentage and meat tenderness. With a gentle temperament and remarkable longevity, the Boran is a breed that brings tranquility to any farm. Easily manageable, these magnificent creatures gracefully traverse long distances and conquer rocky terrains. Their extraordinary crossbreeding abilities and outstanding hybrid vigor further enhance their value, creating robust offspring with the best traits. In the world of livestock, the Boran breed stands tall as an ideal choice. They provide high-quality meat with low input costs, embodying the perfect balance of adaptability, resilience, and excellence. The Boran breed, a testament to the boundless possibilities of agricultural success. In the realm of livestock, there exists a breed of cattle that defies limitations and embraces versatility. Introducing the Boran. A breed known for its remarkable traits that have captivated farmers worldwide. These non-selective grazers possess a unique rumen and metabolism, allowing them to thrive on even the poorest quality forage. Adaptable by nature, Boran cattle retain their condition and productivity across diverse landscapes, from rolling hills to rugged terrains. Their incredible herd instinct makes them a breeze to manage, even in wooded environments where their natural tendencies come to life. And when it comes to feeding, the Boran proves its flexibility once again. They can be successfully fed off the pasture, optimizing resources and productivity. But it's not just their adaptability that sets the Boran apart. Their carcass quality is unparalleled, boasting a high dressing percentage and meat tenderness. With a gentle temperament and remarkable longevity, the Boran is a breed that brings tranquility to any farm. Easily manageable, these magnificent creatures gracefully traverse long distances and conquer rocky terrains. Their extraordinary crossbreeding abilities and outstanding hybrid vigor further enhance their value, creating robust offspring with the best traits. In the world of livestock, the Boran breed stands tall as an ideal choice. They provide high-quality meat with low input costs, embodying the perfect balance of adaptability, resilience, and excellence. The Boran breed, a testament to the boundless possibilities of agricultural success. In the realm of livestock, there exists a breed of cattle that defies limitations and embraces versatility. Introducing the Boran. A breed known for its remarkable traits that have captivated farmers worldwide. These non-selective grazers possess a unique rumen and metabolism, allowing them to thrive on even the poorest quality forage. Adaptable by nature, Boran cattle retain their condition and productivity across diverse landscapes, from rolling hills to rugged terrains. Their incredible herd instinct makes them a breeze to manage, even in wooded environments where their natural tendencies come to life. In the realm of livestock, there exists a breed of cattle that defies limitations and embraces versatility. Introducing the Boran.
Welcome back.
A breed known for its remarkable traits that have captivated farmers worldwide.
Dankie dat julle almal terug is.
These non-selective grazers
Welkom aan Johan van der Nest. Mooi om jou hier te sien. Ek hoop ons hele veiling omset môre is soos wat jy een bal verkoop daaronder in Suid-Afrika. Dan sal ons nogal baie goed doen. Okay. Next up, Peter Zenzi, very successful farmer. You must listen carefully now.
Thank you, Heiko.
Ag, so 'n bietjie, dan weet gou hier weer al die gat maar net uit.
Good afternoon. I'm Peter Zenzi. We spoke about the English. We just have to learn. Must I keep it here? I am hard of hearing. I want you to hear. So if you cannot hear me, just do something so that I can see. Can you hear me at the back? Must I keep it like this? I'll try to. We'll just have to learn English. Do we have a English-speaking person here whose mother tongue is English? Okay, because I wanted to learn I wanted him to translate to me, keer die bees. How do you say that in English? Keer die bees. It's difficult. English language on the farm is just difficult. I am not a stud breeder. I'm a commercial farmer for more than 40 years in the area of Grootfontein. So why am I standing here? For many more than weiter. So, for many more years than 30 years, I'm a member of the Castile Study Group. We are not a study group of Boran cattle or cattle of a specific breed. We are studying Namibian farming circumstances, from cattle to maize to goats to anything. And we try to find out what makes that people make a profit. What are the 20% that make out the 80% of the success you have? So I was asked to speak about cow efficiency in cattle. First, the difference between effective and efficient. It is more effective to cut a tree with a chainsaw than with an axe. But if you cut the wrong tree, then the guy with the axe is more efficient. Dis om die regte ding reg te doen. Efficiency. And because we want to look at the whole farming perspective, I will start at the beginning, if I can start this right. Yes. The NAU had an AgriStat program. Over the country was on average 25 kilogram per hectare. So Francois, well, no, cattle. Welcome in Namibia, not 1 cow, 1 hectare, 25 kilogram per hectare. The production was about 34%, meaning about a third. You produce, and that's live mass, you produce about a third of your stock. That was on the study, on the AgriStat, it was 8.5 kilogram per hectare. If we take today's price of $30 per kilogram, you can put in your own numbers. We have a gross income of $255 per hectare. In our study group over years, we spend about 50% of that on running expenses. That is excluding interest and rent. Running expenses about 50% of our income, leaving us with $127 per hectare, from which you have to pay your interest, live, pay your taxes, do everything. In our Atavi Grootfontein area, on average, a farmer farms on 6,000 hectares, so that made $765,000 per year. That is our situation in the country. It is much different from what we've heard today. Otherwise, everything is the same. Let me just go back. Okay. Yes, I. Okay, I'll speak loud. Perhaps you can take a better photo if I speak loud. We have production times the price, which is your income. We have the costs, which we have to deduct. Then you have the profit. Can we do something about the price, we as farmers?
No. That cost, I assume, is without interest.
Yes, without interest. And we wanted to compare the jockey. We didn't want to compare how wealthy he is. So we can't do much about the price, especially in this year. Can we do something about the costs? I think at the moment, costs are cut down to the bone. I think everybody has cut his costs. So the one thing we can change, or which we have influence on, is the production. That is what we have influence on, and that is what we want to speak about. So production is a function of stocking rate. We heard that. If you can't stock cattle, you can't produce. And stocking rate, reproduction, growth, and losses. Those are the factors influencing production. We don't speak about stocking rate today. That is the main one. It is in this order. First stocking rate, then reproduction, then growth. And Francois said the same. We can speak about reproduction and growth. Losses also become a more and more big influence in our country. I say, if you have healthy, fertile cows, with sufficient healthy bulls, with libido, with adequate good grazing, with correct lick supplementation, and regular access to suitable water, cows calve more than 90%. This is management. This is nothing else but management. Okay? A healthy breeding herd you manage by, you do not buy in female animals, only buy bulls certified healthy and fertile, they are tomorrow. Test regularly for trichomonia and vibriosa. Inoculate against relevant diseases, control parasites, treat ill animals. Actually, this is simple. Okay? I selected over the years bulls with EBV. They must come from fertile mothers. I loved to buy a bull from a cow that is 10 years old and had 8 calves. Birth weight average to below the breed, but a high growth, 600 days, above average for the breed. These you call curve benders. There's a relationship, I come to you just now, there's a relationship between birth weight and mature weight. We know that, but you get bulls that have a high growth, but they give you small calves. Is it for clarity that you want to ask? Yes, please. I can't hear. Yes, that is because the cows, the chance is there that you buy a cow with trichomonia or with vibriosa, and this will infect your whole herd. You buy in sick cows.
Can I just add to that? That is buying commercial stock on commercial sales. Farm sales.
Yes.
Where you buy a lot of 50 mixed breeds, German cows, scooters. If you buy female stock on an auction like ours, they come from stud breeders, they are covered by clean bulls, so you will not, hopefully will not buy in any illnesses to your herd.
Okay. So you get these curve benders. They have high growth, but the calves are small. Those bulls I selected and bought. I selected my heifers. I bred them with 18 months. The absolute weight, 300 kilogram plus. 18 month index, I don't know whether you are working with indexes. You are. Okay, 94 plus, so it is a bit below average, but rather above average, because I wanted growth. From fertile mothers with the intercalving period of less than 400 days, which is quite a mouthful, with a high average weaning index of the calves. So I wanted growth. I wanted to select my heifers from cows that had calved regularly and had weaned strong calves. Ziggy?
Peter, I think you have to explain the difference between EBV and an index.
No? EBV is your estimated breeding value for the bulls.
For the breed.
For the breed. Index is for my own situation. You can have an index on your own group of cattle which you have on your farm. The index is just an expression of how does this animal perform according to the group. If we have an age of 40, say 50 here, the average age is 50, then we have an index of 100 is a 50. If you are 55, then you are 10% over the age, over the average age, then you have an index of 110. It says how many percent you are above the average. So an index of 94 is the calf weaned 6% lower than the average calves of that season. Okay? Fertile mothers of intercalf period, ICP of lower than 400. High average weaning index, so I weigh all the calves when they are weaning. I know which calf belongs to which cow. And I record the index, the weaning index of that calf to the mother every year. And of course, you get an average over her calves over the year. We will see some examples just now. Concerning the cows.
Can you please go back to your previous you're selecting bulls.
Yes.
With a high growth at 600 days. Didn't you detect any indication of that the cows were getting bigger, were feeding?
You are running in front.
We will be getting that.
Okay, so the cows intercalving is close to 365 days and below 400. In the previous drought, we had to slaughter pregnant winter cows. It's hard to do, but we did it. So we slaughtered those cows that had the ICP of over 400. The weaning index of the calves, we said already, 94 or higher, maximum age 10 years. I don't go much for the longevity because I am producing from the veld, slaughter cattle from the veld. If the cow calves the last calf with 10 years, it weans the calf, then she's 11. But then she will still pick up weight quickly so that I can have her slaughtered from the veld. If you wait till she's 14, 15, then in our circumstances, we have problems. Okay, this is an example of heifers I selected. Most probably it's a bit small for you to read. These were winter heifers from 2020, and it's a copy of what I took to the kraal, which I selected on 10 January 2022, so they were 18 months. And I ranked them from the 18-month index. So the 18-month index is the indication of their growth from birth to 18 months. The highest one, this was the weaning index. That was the 18-month index. So the highest one had 116. It was 18 months, 16% over the average. Then comes 9%, 9%, 8%, 7%. I ranked them according to their growth because I wanted big cattle. Okay. Then the absolute weight, I said they must have 300 plus. This is the mother. This mother has an intercalving period of 364 over 8 calves with an average index of those 8 calves, 808, so 8%. So she weaned heavy calves, of course I took her. The next one, also from a mother, 387 days, 9 calves with an index of 105. I took it. This one also got a very good mother, but couldn't reach the 300 kilogram. One I didn't take, a very good weaning index of 11% higher, 111, 105 still 5% over the 18, 320 weights, okay. Mother, intercalving period 515. I said, no, this one I don't want, because I want not only growth, but I want fertility. So this is the way I selected my heifers. We were at the bulls, we came to the heifers. Then, in our study group, once a year, we weigh all cattle, and we collect the data, we collect the financial data. Our year went from 1 September to end of August to incorporate better the agronomy. Die milie oes is nie van 1 Maart tot, of die mieliejaar is nie van 1 jaar tot 28 Februarie nie. So the season, the maize season is from, if you take it from 1 September to the end of August, makes more sense, because you have the income and the expenses of one season in 1 year. Also with the rain, it's no use to measure a rain from 1 March to end of February. So we decided 1 September to end of August. So we collected rough data, and we handed this rough data in. The rough data was in one specific format, so that everybody put it in the same format. And then the statistical calculations and the comparisons for the cattle part, Arne Gressman did. So we had one, production and reproduction, and the financial one, I did the comparison, so that all the different farms are compared in the same way. Not one person is doing it this way and the other one says, no, I want to do it that way. And then once in a year, that was the end of August, we handed in the data. In, say, October, November, then we sat down one day, and we compared our results amongst ourselves. It was a matter of open books. Everybody had really the data of everybody else. And we had our meetings on the farms. So you had an idea, what does it look like on the farm, and what does its results are. So after many years, Arne Gressman suddenly came up with this graph of mine. The results of my selection, slaughter weight of oxen increased over the years. So I was very happy. I started here at, say, 240. And after, what was it, from 1988 to 2009, I touched on nearly 300, and then I was at 280. In the good years of 212, I reached over 300 kilograms from the veld AB oxen. I said, chop, this is the dream of every ox breeder. The slaughter weight of the cows also increased. Didn't increase so dramatically. But then Arne came up with this nasty graph. Unfortunately, after year 28, he showed me, that was your question, how the cow mass increased from below 500 to nearly 600. And that purely as a result, if you select for heavier cattle, you get heavier cattle. Unfortunately, you don't only get heavier oxen, you also get heavier cows. And then he had the even nastier graph, and that was the weaning ratio. This is the ratio of the calf's mass at weaning over the cow's mass. How many percentage of, what percentage of her own weight is she weaning? We all hope for 50%. I think forget it. So this weaning ratio was, say, 48% when I started, and it went down. So the heavier the cows got, the worse was the weaning ratio. And I said, okay, Arne, this is over years. What does it look like really year from year? And I took 1 year, summer to 2020. Now I have to go back to the indexes again. Arne just took the mass of the calves, weaning mass. But ox calf weighs heavier at weaning than a heifer. And the calf that was born first is heavier than the last of the season. And you have to correct with that, for that. And you do that with the weaning index. The weaning index calculates the average weight of the oxen at 205 days and of the heifers. And I argued an average ox is as good as an average heifer. Okay? So I took the indice. Where's the English person? What the multiple of indice, I think. I took the indice of the calves and put them over the cow weight. Okay? And here in this graph you see the cows. This is they calved in the same season and weaned in the same season. I had cows just over 400 kilogram, and I had some with 650. And as the cow mass goes up, the weaning ratio comes down. The heavier the cow, the worse is the weaning ratio. A 400 kilogram cow, if you want a 50%, you need a 200 kilogram calf. 600 kilogram cow must wean you a 300 kilogram calf. And that doesn't happen. I said, okay, another year, another herd from another herd I'm managing, very much the same. The heavier the cows, the lower the weaning ratio. Still another one, and summer of 2019, and then I said, okay, let's put some weights to that. And I said, cows that weigh 450 or less, they weaned on average 119%. They weaned nearly 20% better than the average. Not weaning mass, but percentage of their own body weight. Those between 450 and 550, about average, a bit better. Those above 550, they lost. They had an index of 90. The weaning ratio was 10% lower than the average. Is that clear? Okay. So I asked myself, why is this? Why does a big cow not, she's big. She has got the potential to wean the same ratio as the small one. She has got a big mouth. And I think when she eats from a trough, when she eats in a feedlot, and she can bite, this is my farmer explanation. With one bite, she will take more, the 600 kilogram cow, more feed than the 400 kilogram cow. And if they both eat from a trough, then most probably they will perform according to their weight. But in our Namibian situation, think of your own farm. All of you, I hope, have walked behind your cows and you have seen how they are grazing. They are actually taking a bit here, they're taking a leaf there, they're picking up something from the ground here. And the big mouth of the big cow doesn't take more than the small mouth of the small cow. Especially now, think of your farm at home. What does it look like? What are they picking up? What are they eating? And I brought 5 bags. I turned them around. This is 6 kilogram. So 2 of them make 12. Francois said cattle don't eat in ratio of their body weight. But for maintenance, I say cows at the same level of production, they eat 3% of their body weight just for maintenance, not for production, just for maintenance. This is the general rule of the thumb. Of course, you get cattle that do better with the feed that have a better net feed intake than the other one. So this is 12 kilogram at 3%. Which cow would be that? 400 kilogram. 400 kilogram cow, 400 times 3% is 12 kilogram. Okay? And here I have 3 bags. This is a 600 kilogram cow. She needs 3% of 600 is 18. She needs exactly 1 bag more. Now I argue that this cow will be finished picking up and eating her 12 kilogram when that one also has picked up perhaps 12 kilogram or a bit more. But she will have to just forage longer. She will have to graze longer. And the smaller one already is lying down, ruminating, or the smaller can go and eat more for production. This is just for maintenance, just for keeping her weight. So I say cattle need to take up 3% in their weight in dry mass or feed per day, just for maintenance. When they're being fed fodder from a trough, the big cow with its big mouth takes up more fodder per bite than the small cow. But on our extensive grazing conditions, the bigger mouth does not collect more grass per bite. The big cow either has to graze longer to collect 3% of the bite of her mass, or she must select less nutritious feed. Where the smaller one can pick just the tip of a shoot, the bigger one has to take a bit more, and that is not as nutritious as the tip. That is my explanation. I do not know whether it's correct or not. So if this happened on my farm, that the cows got bigger and bigger, what happened to the breeding values of different breeds in Namibia? We have the Brahman. Can you read? Or must I read it for you? Over the years, this is from 2006 till 2022, I think the bulls that are sold this year, the reference is taken, the EBV is taken from 2022. The birth weight is up by 1.5 kilogram. Weaning weight is up by 16, which is very nice. The 600 day weight, that is the mature, say the oxen of 30 months, it's 33 kilogram up. But the mature cow also weighs 32 kilogram more. The fat increased a bit, but not as I would have loved it. This is the Brahman, even the Nguni, Simmentaler, also very much the same as Brahman. Mature cow weight up 34 kilogram. The Nguni, mature cow weight up 21 kilogram. And the 200 days are 9. Whereas the others at least have a 50% calf-cow ratio, 16 kilogram up with the weaning, 32 with the cow, that makes it 50%. The Nguni calf is 9 kilogram heavier, but the cow 21, which only gives a 43 kilogram. So what did happen in the breeds? If we take an area of 50 that can stock 50,000 kilograms, this is roughly 2,000 hectares at 25 kilogram per hectare. You can stock 50,000 kilograms, and I don't take the calves into account. I only go to the cows. I argue that the Brahman cow weighed in 2006 500. I do not know how much, but that doesn't mean doesn't matter. The matter is the difference here. If the Brahman cow weighed 500 kilogram in 2006, then I could stock 100 cows on the 50,000 hectares. And I would get the 80 weaners, 80% weaning percentage. And the 80 weaners weighed 250 kilogram. That is already a 50%, which is good. Then they produce 20,000 kilogram on that area. Now in 2024, the Brahman cows weighs 532. It doesn't weigh 500 anymore. It weighs 532 because it's heavier now. So they can't stock 100 cows on that area. They can only stock a 94. The 94 gives 75 calves, not 80. But the 75 calves weigh more. They weigh 16 kilogram more. They weigh 266 now. And they produce 20,000 kilogram on that area. We speak of superior genetics and improved over the years. But what we did, we only made it bigger. We didn't make it better. We only made it bigger. They are not more efficient. They do not convert grass to beef more efficient than when they started. Very much the same with Nguni. They even lost a bit. And the Simentalis, exactly the same. Because the cows are heavier now, you cannot stock so much. You get fewer calves, you produce the same. So, Kovar is Boran. Where are the Boran going? We already heard from Francois what they say in South Africa. I do not know what the Namibian Boran Breeders Association will say. But I can tell you that you are there where other breeds want to go. The Zimbras saw that they are too big. They want to go back. They want to go smaller. The Brahman want to go smaller. So you must see that you do not go bigger and bigger. I see that the mature cow weight of the Boran already is 21 kilogram higher than when you started. Now I do not know when you started in Namibia. I do not know for how long you are going on, Caspar.
Yeah, the Boran data is just short data and it's not for a long time. And also we don't have a lot of data because we only the Namibian data.
Yeah. You must decide which cow size fits best for the Namibian environment. That would be the smallest one. Second one, the market.
I just wanted to add, you never mentioned that the larger cow needs more grass or more energy for walking. That is not even mentioned in this
Yeah.
figures that would make it.
And I didn't mention most probably her body condition won't be the same and she won't calve as regularly and. Okay? And the market is a problem. I myself, I produce for the slaughter market from the beginning because I believe in taking the product as far as possible towards the consumer. If you take it as a weaner calf, then somebody else buys it in, he finishes and he sells it again and everybody wants to make a profit. So I want to take it best from farm to fork, but that is not possible with us. We will see in the future. But if you go too small with the cattle, then you might have problems with the slaughter market. Siggy?
Kom maar net weer terug daar waar jy.
Daai hoor ek.
Hoor jy?
Ja.
Mooi man. Julle moet een ding onthou, né? EBV's beteken estimated breeding value.
Yes.
En as hy akkuraatheid onder 70% is, beteken hy wat is
Nee, moenie sê nie. Ek weet.
Engels asseblief, die mense wat online luister kan jy nie verstaan.
We must remember an estimated breeding value is not the reality. You can guess. That's why it's estimated.
Yes.
That she has or he has the genetic makeup to be 32 kilogram better, but it can go either way. It can go that way and it can go that way. So be very careful to overemphasize EBVs. And for the Borans, please, for me as a commercial cattle farmer, don't chase EBVs, please, because we buggered up 2 good breeds already in this country, and now we try to go back where we had our target 20 years ago. So how long will it take to get back to where we were?
Okay. Siggy is right. It depends on the accuracy. You get breeds where bulls have an accuracy of about 80%, which gives you an 80% chance that the bull will breed a calf according to that EBV. I see the Boran cattle, there are many accuracies around 50%, even 40% on the catalogue for tomorrow. So if it is 50%, you have a 50% chance that it is not that one. If it is 40%, you even have a bigger chance that it is not that one. So if the higher the breeding value, the higher the accuracy, the more, of course, the more accurate the prediction is. And if you get to genomics, which is the future, they will show you that the accuracy will increase. And I can only say for the borans, use the best scientific tools to select for the above. And we have these tools, we only must use them. And you must have a vision where you want to go. And then you can use these tools to get there. Monitor where you are going. Just don't let the breed run away. Monitor where you're going. Are you keeping to your parameters which you wanted or not? And remember, bigger is not better. Only a better net feed intake, I say, is better. If a cow or any cattle can do more with the 1 kilogram of food it takes up than the other one, then it is better, because our bottleneck always is the feed. We always have too little feed. Other questions which we haven't touched on? I thank you.
Vielen Dank, Peter. Thank you very much. Now you hear it from an independent commercial farmer. Bigger is not always better. As I said before, keep it balanced. Your environment will determine your cow size. Okay, last but certainly not least, Philip Lee. NutriFeeds. NutriFeeds is one of our big sponsors. They have been sponsoring us a couple of years ago, then they were out for a bit, they are back in now. We are very thankful. And yeah, thank you for your sponsorship. Okay, the microphone is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity. Always a great privilege. Gaan rook of doen iets constructiefs. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I really appreciate being here. First of all, I'm quickly going to switch to Afrikaans. This is for me very important. We just keep in mind we are here promoting the Boran. So it's a promotion day for promoting a great breed. I saw something today, and this is very, very important. And it's a feather in your cap. And just grant me the moment, I need to express this in Afrikaans. So ek loop in kraal en ek kyk na mis. Ek kyk nie na die beeste nie. Ek grou nie mis en ek lê die volgende vandag op. En hier is 'n moerse kompliment. Daar's nie 'n week in my lewe wat ek nie op veilinge is nie. En dis baie belangrik. This will only take 1 minute or so of your time. Ek verkoop nie voer nie. Ons verkoop oplossings. So die 80% van die bulle het riefvoer in hulle krippe vandag. Nie een of ander hoë stysel, hoë gespekte vetmes afrondingsrantsoen nie. Riefvoer. Great. En vandag toe sien ek iets in my lewe as voedingkundige wat ek baie lank lank gesien het. Bulle met skoon broeke. Nie daai kenmerkende mamba groen mis links en regs van die stert nie. So if we want to promote this breed, I think you're on the right page. Keep it up. En ek dink julle verdien 'n hande klap, want daai is die enkele grootste probleem if we go into nutrition is overfed cattle. We're destroying good quality genetics with overfeeding. Okay, I had to get that off. Let's talk about pitfalls in elite supplementation. This is what we see. Maybe you've got a clean sheet. Maybe you can say, listen, I tick all the boxes, and great. But maybe just maybe there's one or two things that you can go back to your farm, your operation, your ranch, and think, I can tweak here or I can tweak there. For me, the purpose of today is to tell you guys that lick isn't the alpha and the omega. It's just a tool. I think the most underestimated nutrient, and we start to understand it nowadays, the most underestimated nutrition on the farm. Any takers? If you should say, what is the most understated nutrient on your farm? Phosphate. Water quality. People, we must have a look at the water. Water quality is the single most underestimated nutrient on any farm. So in my preparations, I saw some interesting comments, some nice lingo on, I improvised a pointer on your website. Overfeeding, overmanagement, greed, especially with regards to the show industry, the stud industry. We read a lot about grass, mothering capabilities, all the nice lingo, and I really like it. And I want to compliment you for stating it on your website that we're never ever going to allow egos, short-term interest, greed. In Afrikaans, we've got a nice word, nafgatheid, to become bigger than the breed. Guys, if you want to promote this breed, and this is a promotion day for the Borans in Namibia, stick to that. Please, I urge you, stick to that. François, julle, Christopher op die raad, I can't put enough emphasis on that single paragraph in your website. Christopher mentioned it. This was the national auction averages. And there's a lot of exceptional auctions. The one thing that I noticed when I had a look at sale results of the last 2 years, 3 years, is that not in this instance, I chose a bad example, but go and look for yourself. I would suggest 50 to 60% of all Boran auctions, the highest average is for cows and calves, not bulls. And you can check me on that. That is a sign of a healthy breed, of a healthy organization, of a breed going in the right direction. When you see that 50 to 60% of all published auction results, the female animals produce higher averages than the males. We see all the right noises. There's some articles that I read in my preparation, the breed for Africa, breed for drought situations, sustainability, low effort. I think we don't need to discuss it further. You're breeding with an excellent breed, take good care of it, be aware of, as I mentioned, egos, short-term interests, and guys in it for the greed. Let's go to leak supplementation. Just some short pitfalls. This is the graveyard shift. Manne, hou dit asseblief informeel net om my ook skerp te hou. If you want to ask questions anytime, please do so. And then we can keep it informative. Where do you think is the current calf percentage of South Africa? 65. 60. Yeah, South Africa. Total. No, luckily not. Calf percentage, yeah. 62. The scary part, guys, the scary part is if we count out the stud industry, and this is a very, very dangerous statement. If we count out the stud industry, it rises with 2%. it rises with 2%. And that's the effect of showing. Overfat females, TKPs of 700 days, 750 days, it rises by almost 3% if we count out the stud industry. You're shaking your head, I've got the stats. That's the only way we learn. No embryo transfers, nothing in that cell. So why are we on 62? Our biggest concern, and that's for me perhaps the theme of my presentation today, the biggest culprits in the 38% not calving is first replacement heifers. That child being mated roughly at 60-62% of adult weight, calving at around about 80% of mature weight, and then we expect of her to get pregnant within the next 90 days. It's a tall order. It's really, really a tall order, and we expect to achieve that with a straightforward winter leak. If we have a look at leak supplementation, if I can ask you one thing, if you can perhaps just remember one thing today, is to take good care of replacement heifers after their first calving, and that no winter leak. If it's those bags, my company's bags, any commercial leak available, there's no stock standard winter leak available today on the market that can tick all the requirements of that specific heifer during her first winter. So if we look at the normal production of a year, a cycle, we've got our winter leak period, we phosphate, and our production period. Please, for your first winter, up until she's certified pregnant the second time, keep her on a production leak. My take-home message for today, do not put your replacement heifers, your first-time calvers, onto a winter leak too soon. But I'll get to that in a moment. Okay, so the assignment for today was pitfalls. What is the pitfalls that we see in leak supplementation in the trials that we do, or where we go about in doing our business? I think the first thing is, do we really understand what is a leak? As ek julle kan vra net 'n breë definisie van 'n lek, is daar enige teikers? To put it simple, it is the supplementation of a strategic shortage at a certain point of the year. So the very important part to understand is that if we've got two guys farming borans right next to each other on this specific day, do they give the same leak, yes or no? Neighbors, cow size 450, same environment at this day, 27th, 28th of October. Do we give the same leak? Definitely not. Definitely not. So a leak is just a supplementation for a certain period in time on your farm, according to your season, according to your production status, according to your requirements, that breaches the shortage between my natural resources and my output, my desired output. So that's why two neighbors can have totally different leak supplementation programs on exact same day. The one's got a autumn calving season, the other one's got a spring calving season. The one's got cover crop, the other one doesn't. So be very, very careful for reps. Riding with an order book from farm to farm and punting a specific product. It might work for your neighbor. There's no guarantee that it will work for you as well. So we've got a challenge. We've got a natural resource not providing everything that we need. We've got what we call voluntary organic matter intake, which is declining in winter months. Low digestibility, low intake, low nutrient value, and we must get the most out of that resource to attain a specific target that we've set ourselves in being profitable on our farms. So the main purpose of a leak is simply addressing a specific nutrient shortage on your farm. And that nutrient can be water. Now that might sound silly to you, but if the limiting resource on your farm is water, rain, then no leak in the world is going to tick that box. Your limiting nutrient is water. There's no need for me to have the phosphate discussion or the protein discussion or whatever the case might be. Identify the limiting nutrient on your farm. That piece of the puzzle that you short to get the full picture. And it differs from farm to farm, differs from camp to camp, from year to year. Remember, no two seasons are exactly the same, even on the same farm. We work with nature. Three very important terms there to get a grip on. We like the word complement. It's never ever substitute your natural resource, and I'm getting to a diagram that illustrates it. Never ever substitute. We need to complement. By complement, we mean to get the animal to feed on roughage or natural resource. It's like putting sugar over broccoli for a little one. We need to stimulate above average intake of a natural resource which is low in palatability, low in degradability, and low nutritional value. So for a long time, we focused on supplementation. Nowadays, the buzzword is to complement. Complement your natural resource. And my second take-home message for today, and this is the biggest mistake that we see in South Africa. And this is a very, very simple graph, is that on a specific point in time on my farm, in a specific season, with regards to a specific output, let's say I want 85% calving or weaning percentage at 220 Ks. There's my requirement. The most important mistake that we see in South Africa is that we overestimate the contribution of our veld. Time and time again. I would say 90% of my farmers tend to overvalue the contribution from veld. And then the second problem that we see is, especially in South Africa, I don't think it's really a big concern in Namibia, is the weekend farmers, professional guys with like a fed beersies, not price sensitive, and they oversupply on leek and actually erode into the veld contribution. So just an honest question for yourself, no need to answer it out loud, but when last did you actually do a detailed wet chem on the nutritional status of your veld? We've seen shocking results in recent times in wetchem analysis that we did for guys on their veld, thinking that we've got a protein value of 7.5%, then it's actually 4%. Thinking that we've got a phosphate status of 0.5%, then it's less than 0.01. We are overestimating the contribution of our veld. So it is very good and very noble to talk about stocking rates. We actually prefer the term stocking density. There's a big difference between stocking rate and stocking density. I prefer stocking density. Let's say we've got 1 on 6 hectares, but do we really understand the nutritional contribution of our veld? Just a question to take home and to contact us and tell us, listen, come and take some samples. I would like to see what's the real status of my veld. And then we can have the discussion on stocking rates. Second pitfall, costs. Leak supplementation is expensive. I get a lot of comments like, julle reps jaag net kommissie, hulle wil nuwe bakkies koop en jy weet die beeste kan mekaar lek as hulle wil lek. I've heard it all. I think the narrative should change. How expensive is it not to give adequate supplementation? Can I, and we've listened to the previous presenters here, can I afford not to give a balanced leak supplementation? Taking into account the narrow margins we've got on profit, taking into account the fluctuations in nature. Also a question for yourself to answer. So, how expensive is it not to give leak? And I'm tapping in here on the previous speakers, especially on the Francois body condition. I still think that, I read a series of articles in recent times for South African publication, and here's the scary part. When last did you calibrate your scale? Or do you own the scale? Let me tell you why I'm asking you this, and it might really sound ridiculous. 60%, 65% of my farmers, cattle farmers, are predominantly maize producers. So they do remember they've got cattle if they need a new combine, or as sissie gaan trou, dan het ons gou cashflow nodig en dan onthou ons beeste. En julle lag, maar dis die harde waarheid. Beeste is daar vir ouens wat 'n bietjie van 'n belastingprobleem het. That guy doesn't own a scale. So, ja, dit is nogal ironies dat oom se kop skud. So people, I can't put enough emphasis on body condition. We heard it from both the previous speaker and from Francois in that leak is only a tool in the toolbox in helping me farm between a 2.8, 3.4 bracket. Number 2 there, number 3 there. That's all. Leak's not super glue, dis nie 'n towerstaaf nie, maar leak can't compromise bad grassland management, can't correct poor herd health. It's only a tool that grants me the opportunity to breed in this bracket, to farm in this bracket. That's all. Remember, this is also very adverse. That's the fit, overfed show cows. And I tend to look September, October, November, die maarmaakmaande, doodmaakmaande. If you drive in South Africa along the highways, it's shocking to see how many of our big commercial herds are farming in the 2.4 bracket. It's shocking. Ask guys who drives a lot. So, here's the ripple effect. one of my big mentors, one of the biggest nutritionists in South Africa ever, Dr. Jan Mieke, did this classic work. Numerous guys after him, including myself, did these trials, and they're about 90% conception rate if you farm within that bracket. We had 90% just now from Peter. But the snowball effects continue with regards to intercalving periods, also shortens. Winning percentage rises. And then what we get a lot is, ja, maar ek's 'n klein boer. I only farm with 100k cattle or 200 cattle, or whatever the case might be. Body condition doesn't discriminate between herd sizes. There's work that I've been involved in, 1,000 head unit, 130 head unit, and a 348 unit in Memel. And you'll see the tendons straight through. If it's 2,000 or 340, the guys farming in the 3.5 bracket is the low to mid 90% guys, and that's guys with a relative simple lick supplementation program. No big science, no magic tricks, plain simple. And then obviously on winning weight and cow efficiencies, margins per cow per year, again we can see we realized the highest margin per cow per year in the 3.5 bracket. So basically exactly what we heard from the previous speakers. I'm just confirming out of a scientific point of view, we're the guys that's doing the tests, and that's what we are seeing. So, how expensive is it not to give lick? Nowadays, can I afford to live with low conception figures, low underweight calves, low milk production, just an inefficient cow herd? Due to a low cost resource. Remember, total intake of a cow is 4.5 to 4.8% of her yearly intake is lick. 96%, 95.5% is grass. Lick intake at best is 4.5%. If we take Jan to December, the production period, let's say September, October, November, of a production lick, let's say 1.2 kg per cow per year. Phosphate period of, we're lucky if we get to 200 grams, and in a winter period of 5 to 6 months, 540, 550 grams, you get to a figure which calculates roughly 4.5% of a yearly intake. So let's get away from the cost aspect of lick and go and do the honest calculation with regards to the detrimental effects that we can see on our farms in not providing a good, elastic, balanced lick supplementation program. I touched on this. We still think lick is some form of a muti, super glue. It's got some magical powers. It's not. No lick, not mine, not Voermal, Meadow, Voermeester, DS, and we test them all. Not one can claim that they've got the product that will solve your problems with regards to poor veld management, poor health management. You get the guys that think lick is a quick fix. Die beeste lyk nog goed, weet, die veld is nog baie. And then 2 weeks later you get that call, he's groot, that K-word, he's nou groot, jy moet kom help. It's a all or nothing. It's all or nothing. It's not a substitution product that you can get off the bench and use it as a typical Rassie Erasmus bomb squad. You need to be on the veld 365 of the days of the year, every day. Guys, also, I'm not into selling. I'm not a marketer. I'm a technical guy. Beware for that one size fits all. That guy riding from farm to farm with his order book, he's now got an order from head office. Listen, we've got stock that we need to get rid of. He has a special price, he has a promotion price, and he then just runs with it. Beware. 9 out of 10 times, it's not the product for your circumstances. And remember, we're working with an extremely sensitive environment. Be very, very careful for hasty decisions, impulsive decisions, for lending your ears out to some sort of guru. If we take a rumen of 75, 80 liters, I wasn't the guy who counted it, but approximately we're looking at $100 million per milliliter. $100 million per milliliter. We're working with, let's say, 70 liters of rumen fluid in that area there. Let's treat it with respect. It's a super organ, which we tend to bugger up. Now I get that call in South Africa. Ek kry nou by Sasco goedkoop brood, of Zimba chips, of iets somewhere cookies. Bou gou vir my 'n lek. I dread that call. Quickly build me a leak. Quickly bou gou vir my iets. Fuck it. Sorry. It's not that easy. If we destruct this villa here, we can recoup, let's say, 90% of the damage, but it will take us 28 days, a month. So be careful. I call it my Peter Stuyvesant bender, and I love them. In the old days, you had this Volkskas sakboekies. En dan, excuse me, I'm quickly going to Afrikaans, en dan sê hulle vir my, hierdie ding lyk nie lekker nie, nog so 3 grawe sout en so 2 grawe urium. Ja, nou lyk hy vir my reg. Other favorite is my neighbor's son's hostel roommate. He's studying nutrition at Tuks, and he's got this mix from Prof. Eddie Webb, and it's on the backside of a Lexington. And with change of hands, every time, no, +2, -1. By the time it gets to me, it's a disaster. So please, yeah, you're all laughing because you had this. At some point in time, you had the experience of having a look at the leak and say, no, this thing is not looking right. Please, don't fall into that trap. It's a very sensitive environment that we're working with. We need to treat it with respect. That super glue thing. We're coming out of summer. Catalyst had a 2.7. I think I gave you some take-home messages, 1 or 2 for today, but I think the single most important one is this slide. You can forget everything. Please remember this one. Getting out of summer at the 2.7, veld's looking good, condition of the cows is looking good, Carpus Hollands. And then, in a wink of an eye, 30 days, 35 days, we can go to a 1.7. And now we tend to think that if we start by supplementing, giving a protein leak or whatever the case might be, is that we're going to turn this tide around straight away. It's not going to happen. She's going into an estrus roughly there at 1.7. I can feed until I'm blue in the face. She will only start cycling when she's back at 2.2. I've lost roughly 90 days in my year. Exactly the time that coincides with my mating season. So we do not have time on our side. We tend to think, oh, that's not by at we've got time on our side. Nature is cruel. We do not have, be proactive, please guys. If we look at this, this is a typical graph that what is happening with protein and phosphate with the onset of autumn. You can see that decline on, let me just check quickly, on phosphorus from a 0.1 to a 0.06, 1 month. Only 1 month. If we can have a look at protein, from 8 in December to, let's say, 4.5 in middle of February. We've got much longer winters than we tend to think we have. Much, much longer. So, do we really know the status of our grazing? And please speak to us. We've got the labs, we've got the expertise. It won't cost you a cent. We can take that analysis and we can plot certain points on your farm and we can take it on a yearly basis for you every month and you can build your own graph. That's why 85% of my clients nowadays supplement phosphate in the winter. We've been taught no phosphate in the winter, never ever. 85% of my guys are now giving phosphate in the winter because we are seeing what's happening with phosphate in the period March to September. Just things to get you to think, to ask questions. We were taught, and if you go, Uncle Ziki, if you go and have a look at the literature, they would always recommend giving phosphate in the green months, which is, let's say, November, December, January. And I'm gaan gou van die punt af dwaal. Let's just get this out of our system. The thing in the past, we didn't give any phosphate in the winters because we believed it's the liberating nutrient for summer, which it is. But that doesn't mean there's no need for it in the winter. So we just do not confuse our seasons, because we are getting warm and we are seeing summer out there, that we are thinking, okay, it must be summer. Out of a nutritional perspective, out of a nutritional point of view, in the world of a cow, it is the pinnacle of her winter right now. So this is where it really gets interesting, is that call, ek gee lek, maar my beeste verloor gewig. You are providing a good quality lick, but the condition is falling. There's two reasons. One, it's the wrong lick. And the second one, it's the quality of your grazing. It's laat in die jaar, velde is uitgewy, and then 9 out of 10 times she just calved. So you've got that elevated requirements with regards to lactation. If it's a first time, if she's still growing, so it's a difficult time being a female on a farm, female cow. Also classic work was done by Prof. Willie van Niekerk, just showing, this is Freiburg, just showing that we've got the requirement and we've got the supply. This is with regards to protein. And that's for the best part of the year, the most nutrient limiting factor in our operation is protein. So if we look at the demand versus the supply, we can see that in Freiburg, this was done over 6-7 years. We technically in March already in a winter. The interesting part is that we're still in winter towards the end of October. So dump the, because it's a illusion, this is absolutely illusie om te dink ons het 6 maande winter en 6 maande somer. But I think you in Namibia knows it, because you've got the added factor of drought. So we've got a classic winter period from March up until October with regards to protein. And this is where the good Lord really made it interesting for us. If we can go and have a look at energy. We're in a positive energy balance for a big part of the year. And then we hit September, October, November. That typical maarmaakmaande, doodmaakmaande. So now we must supply, still we are on a negative on protein, but we're also now on a negative in terms of energy. So, ladies and gents, if I break up that 5% of the total intake of a cow per year, which is leek, 50% of my cost, of my total cost from Jan to December, 50%, it's extremely expensive part, lies here, September, October, November. If you need to cut down on cost, let's say you can only afford a certain period in time, please don't take shortcuts here. Speak to me. There's ways and means to be cheap and nasty here. There's ways and means to be cheap and nasty here. Do not, I repeat, please, please do not, especially first-time heifers, replacement cows, do not skip there. It's an expensive period of time, it's an expensive product because I'm supplying protein, natural protein, I'm supplying energy at intakes roughly 1.2, 1.3 kg per cow per day. But do not take shortcuts. This is what we had in, we actually did this trial in Standerton and then we repeated it in Lichtenburg. So if we can look at the mass change on first-time heifers on a normal protein leak, and this is actually quite a Rolls Royce. If you look at the protein leaks, this is a highly spec protein leak. We still had a 19% mass loss. So that guy's he's thinking, oh, I'm walking on water. I'm giving the best protein leak out there to my first-time heifers during that period, September, October, November. but still, we ended up with that. His sister, being 4 weeks, 5 weeks younger, already certified pregnant. Production leak. I've got this data, I'll share it. It makes for interesting reading. Please remember these two pictures. This was the Standerton trial, and the younger sister just in the adjacent camp on energy leak. Also a small decline in mass. I think it was roughly 4%, 5%, but it wasn't this shocking 19%. But at least on this day certified pregnant. Is tyd om te gaan rook. Uncle Ziggy, the point I want to stress here is, yeah. But please, let's take good care. I think, guys, it's becoming late and it's time for a cold beer. To conclude, leak isn't some superpower. Know the status of your veld. Align the status of your veld with your desired production outputs and with your leak supplementation program. Try not to overestimate the energy, protein, or mineral values of your veld. Know exactly what's the required energy, protein, and mineral levels that you desire for a specific outset, and only supplement the balance. There's no need to make this too complicated. I'm going to conclude. It's been a long day. This is a graveyard shift. I'm here later on if you need some questions or have some answers. Typically, and we've talked a lot about frame sizes, your 450 frame size where we would like to farm. Just to get back to the comment on frame size and cow to calf output ratios, just look how big is the jump in your requirements, nutritional requirements, just for maintenance at a 4% crude protein on energy. That's the energy value. Totale verteerbare voedingsstowwe, your megajoules. So to add to the previous speaker's concern with regards to what happened with the calf to cow output ratio going to a high mature cow weight, he didn't even take that into consideration. Energy is expensive. That is going to have a dramatic effect on the previous speaker's slide, but not in the right direction. So, yeah, I can't put enough emphasis on frame size. And then, just to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the time, thank you for the invitation, I really appreciate it, always nice being here. I always conclude by thanking you for the privilege that my children and wife has got something nice to eat tonight on their table, so thank you for that. It sounds daunting. You've got this product options. Within the product options, you've got different brands, different forms, whether it be a lick, a block, a concentrate. All that I want to ask you is get the right advice. Be wary of salesmen working on commission, just chasing the next sale. Get the good advice, and let's keep it simple. And by that, I would like to conclude. We would like to see a normal phosphate period, December, January, Feb. Phosphate is easy. Phosphate is a bag of P12, a bag of salt, and a bag of molasses. I don't care if it's mine, if it's Voermeester, Smolotech, the yes, Voermol, Meadow, doesn't matter. I've done a lot of phosphate work in my life. The best phosphate that you can give cost-wise out of an economical point of view, taking into consideration the nutritional requirements of your animals, is a normal P12 diluted with 1 bag of salt. And the problem with phosphate is palatability, so we need to stimulate intake, and that we get by putting in a bag of molasses. Enough said. If you remember that, then you're on the right track with regards to phosphate. Then we've got our normal protein period. This is for mature cows. This doesn't include our first-time heifers. And in that period there, which I stressed, we do not take shortcuts on. Last slide. It's not all doom and gloom. I really like to conclude always with this slide, just to stress the power that we do have with regards to erfbaarheid, heredity. If we look at the economic important parameters like fertility, age at first calving, milk, and longevity, very, very low on the spectrum with regards to heredity. Difficult one, that. So my decision, the power that I do have in my hands with regards to choices, management, my health program, my nutritional league program, fills that. So we've got a lot of power in economical important traits like fertility. The part making that red up till there lies in my hands, in my management, in my decisions. Same with age at first calving, same with milk, same with longevity. Do not, and I conclude, do not take shortcuts in the short run to save a couple of pennies, because it's going to bite you in the long run. Thank you for your time. It was pleasant being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. It was very interesting. Philip, don't go away too quickly, please. Kom net eers weer terug, asseblief. Vir jou natuurlijk ook van die Boran se kant af. Baie dankie dat jy hier was. We really appreciate it. And then we have another person today that we want to thank, a person that played a very big role in this whole day and will also play a big role tomorrow. Martinique, asseblief. Martinique from Swiftveer. She really went out of her way to accommodate us, do things for us, make this day special. Baie dankie. Ons waardeer dit baie. Okay. These sticky, what do you want to call it, booklets, flyers, whatever, are on the tables. Thank you very much, and Jacques and Eleni once again, who made it possible, did the work. You're welcome to take these along, a lot of information on it, and there's contact details on the back of the Boran Breeder Society. Yeah, as I said, you're welcome to take those along. I had a few catalogs brought in there. If you have one, if you have taken one, please bring it back tomorrow. We don't have so many. Agra is bietjie synig met die goed om die goed te druk. So if you have one, please bring it back tomorrow. Don't take another one tomorrow. Then we won't have enough. Okay, that concludes it from my side. Thank you very much. You're welcome to have a look at the cattle now. Speak to the breeders. Otherwise, you're on the front side. We're going into the more gemaklike deel van die dag. Nice food prepared there for us and cold drinks. Enjoy. We'll speak later. Danke.
Antie, met jou? Goed. Julle het die party goed in die sekerheid gedoen.
Seker net so hier en daar iets daar. Maar dit is net
En die vrou, as dan môre
enige wil, jou enige wil. Maar jy kry jy soek net weer iets by my. Die charger ek dan net hier. Ek moes nou al die ding gewerk.
Wat vinnig kwam word.
Ek moes al die ding gewerk, ek weet nog wat.
Ja, maak dit net wel.
Sal môre wel oor
En daar moet se die plek op die kruis rond, dan moet se verskil. Dat is redelijk baie beter dan.
Hast du schon Katalog?
Ich habe schon einen. Behalte den bei den Bauch.
Nee, ich komme nicht morgen zu verstehen.
Was kann ich wohl brauchen? Die Kinder helfen auf guten Seiten.
hulle vra my gewoonlik vir my, ek weet nie altyd die antwoord nie, maar ek sal dit finansies
Kijk, ik ben persoonlijk. Die plaats met die contact in die gehoor. En die online is niet bij
hy praat nie, nou, hy kan sien wie daar sy naam by hom. So hy kan sien Kasper hier aanlyn. So hy kan sê, kom Kasper, gaan jy vir ons nog 'n bok gee. Presies soos wat hy met sy vriend verskil. Dis ek sê, mening en dan is jy net paar naam by hom. Hy ken hom, want hy ken hom op sy plaas. En die ander ding is, ek het al so veel werk en baie sou in werk gekom met Johan van der Leyen. Hulle nou soms maar is nie maar as by Pakistan. Saam met die jongens is nou die Cowboys, saam met wêreldklas. En ons span in Suid-Afrika, ons een span in Afrika se span. Hulle sê, die beste afstand. Ek kan nie